This is Michael Popok, Legal AF. Well, Alvin Bragg is hard at work as the Manhattan DA. He just filed tonight, his office did, a motion against Donald Trump in their criminal case, the 34-count business fraud and tax fraud case against Donald Trump that came out with an indictment in April the 4th. At that time, the parties, the judge included, sort of kicked the can down the road about the issue of whether there'd be a protective order stopping Donald Trump from commenting about any evidence that the prosecution who has an obligation to turn over to a criminal defendant, a constitutional due process obligation to turn over certain evidence in what we call discovery to the other side. But Alvin Bragg's office, drawing a line in the sand, wants Judge Merchan to stop Donald Trump, prevent him from commenting on that evidence, disclosing that evidence, putting it on social media or otherwise, talking about or criticizing witnesses and the like. It's not quite the gag order that was discussed in court during the arraignment, but it's pretty darn close. And in order to convince the judge that they are in the right, the Manhattan DA has gone out of their way to cite all the instances of bad behavior, improper conduct, judge bashing, witness bashing, juror bashing, disrespect for the judicial process, disrespect for prosecutors that Donald Trump has exhibited over time. For instance, this is I'm going to read now from the actual motion filed this evening. Here, the Manhattan DA, or the Assistant District Attorney, Catherine McCaw, wrote to the court, the risk that this defendant, Donald Trump, will use the covered materials, the evidence provided by the Manhattan DA, inappropriately is substantial. Defendant has a long history of discussing his legal matters publicly, including by targeting witnesses, jurors, investigators, prosecutors, and judges with harassing, embarrassing, and threatening statements on social media and in other public forums, and he has already done so in this case. She's reminding the judge that Trump has mercilessly attacked Michael Cohen in the media, in the social media, in the press, even going so far as to sue Michael Cohen with a nonsense, frivolous case down in Florida during the pendency of the prosecution, in order, I guess, to give him some sort of cover for continuing to defame and malign Michael Cohen and to undermine him as a witness. They also cited the Manhattan DA's office today in their filing all the reasons why Donald Trump shouldn't be allowed, without being babysat, without having adult supervision in the form of his lawyers, he shouldn't be able to even see or touch the evidence, citing Mar-a-Lago. They said this president has shown a complete disrespect for the confidentiality of any documents and has sticky fingers and brought many documents that he shouldn't have with him to Mar-a-Lago. So he shouldn't be allowed to grab them and go read them at his leisure at his house. He should be in a room where they take inventory and the lawyers police him. They're his lawyers. So that was also commented on there as well. They went on to talk about his attacks on witnesses, jurors, and the like. So it's almost borderline asking for a gag order. They bring up Ruby Freeman and her daughter, the two election workers in Georgia, who were defamed mercilessly by Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani, claiming that they somehow committed voter fraud. They tried to steal the election for Joe Biden down in Georgia, when all they were doing was counting legitimate votes and putting those that were already counted away in a locked case underneath the counting table. So they point to Ruby Freeman. So after talking about Mar-a-Lago, Ruby Freeman, Cohen, the attacks on him and on witnesses, the attacks on, they keep going because there's just so much, right? Donald Trump just creates every day a new fact that a prosecutor can use against him because his need for publicity, his narcissism's insatiable drive makes him create new evidence that's really helpful to judges and prosecutors.
Now let's take a quick break to talk about our next sponsor, Paired. My wife and I, we're super competitive people, especially with each other. The other day, we were going back and forth about, well, who knew our relationship history better? So we took to Paired. Paired, it's a relationship app for couples. You and your partner, you download the app, Pair together, and every day Paired gives you questions, quizzes, and games to have fun, stay connected, and deepen your conversations. You'll never believe what I found out about my partner through using Paired. Apparently, she really wanted to start playing pickleball. Now, I had no idea. The Paired prompt asked her what was something she wanted to start doing this month. She said pickleball, and now we're in a weekly game with our neighbors. It's simple and often hilarious. Each day you get a quiz to play or a question to answer, and you can't see your partner's answer until you answer yourself. It's been so funny to see how close our answers are sometimes, but then how different they are other times. It's really made for some great conversations. Whether you're just a few dates in or have been together a long time, it's time to lighten the mood and have fun with your partner by using Paired. Head to paired.com/legalaf to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off if you sign up for a subscription. Just head to paired.com/legalaf to sign up today. Connect with your partner every day using Paired. A happier relationship starts here.
And this prosecutor said, let's go all the way back to the Ukrainian issue. In the Ukrainian famous quid pro quo, where Donald Trump was impeached for trying to trade off $450 million worth of aid to the newly elected President Zelensky in return for him having his prosecutors start up a prosecution against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Sound familiar? He then mercilessly attacked Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who worked for the National Security Council, and the then Ukrainian ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. He attacked them. They also cited in their papers, the Manhattan DA, they also cited to Trump's merciless attacks against Mueller and the Mueller report and the witnesses related to the Mueller report and the impeachment managers leading to his 2 impeachments. So, I guess they had to edit out, to keep it down to a normal length, the size of the motion. They had to edit out all the other really bad conduct for Donald Trump. And at the end, what are they asking for? What's the ask to the judge? Judges are always, when you file a motion or you're there arguing in court, the only thing they're thinking of, the first 2 things they're thinking of is, why are we here and what do you want? That's what they're thinking, whether they're an appellate judge or a trial judge. And they may not be tapping their foot and looking at their watch, but they're doing it with body language. So you better, in the very beginning, in this motion, which they have, tell the judge why we're here. We're here because Donald Trump has shown that he is genetically, by DNA, incapable of keeping anything private or secret, and he will use it and weaponize it against prosecutors, judges, lawyers, witnesses, jurors, and the like. So we've got to keep the fuel from the fire, right? We can't give him we'll give him the evidence because we have to. The Manhattan DA is reasoning from a due process standpoint. He's got, we got to give him the stuff in order for him to defend his case, but he can't go off and use it to go, sell T-shirts and mugs and use it as a grift for his reelection campaign and continue to attack and dox witnesses and prosecutors and judges, which he's already done. I mean, the judge is not a potted plant. He's watched, Judge Merchan, everything that Donald Trump has done, in real time, bashing as he's walking into the courthouse for the arraignment, the judge's family, the prosecutor's family, putting up pictures of Alvin Bragg almost being brained by a baseball bat in a photo held by Donald Trump. I mean, he knows all this, and he's watched all of it since the arraignment, April 4th till now. The suit that's filed against Michael Cohen, the harassing of Michael Cohen, going after the prosecutors, going after the prosecutor's family, going after the judge and his daughter. So, I know the judge is trying to be judicious. Whenever you hear people talk about Judge Juan Merchan, who at one point worked at the Manhattan DA's office, you hear that he's sober, he's judicious, he's smart, he's a poker player. He's going to make these decisions, not based on animus or based on his own personal feelings, even though he's a Democrat. He's going to make it based on the law and the facts. But he's got to enter a protective order to stop Donald Trump from doing most of these things. Now, he may not want to verge all the way over to gag order because he's already said in court he's a little queasy given the First Amendment right and the fact that the guy's running for president, right or wrong or indifferent, to gag him. But he can control. That's one of the roles of a judge. He can control the administration of justice and the flow of discovery and put protection around it in the form of a protective order. And that's what I think he's going to do. I'm going to follow this motion all the way to the end on hot takes just like this one on the MeidasTouch network. I then curate with my co-anchors, Ben Meiselas and Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, and we do a show, a podcast, every Wednesday and Saturday where we pick the top 5 or 6 top stories at the intersection of law and politics. We present them to you. And then I do these hot takes regularly, as we've said. You can follow me on all things social media. If you like this kind of content coming from us and coming from me, give the thumbs up on the podcast, on the YouTube. Leave a comment. I do read them. It improves everything that we're doing here. And you can follow me on all things social media at MS Popok. This is Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.